There is a kind of woman who is called a femme fatale. Our story is about one of them. The name Mata Hari is likely familiar to many people who have expressed even a modest interest in the early 20th century and the First World War. The real name of this famous woman is Margaretha Gertruda Zell. She was born in the Dutch city of Leeuwarden on August 7, 1876. Margaretha grew up in the family of a wealthy Dutch bourgeois of Jewish origin, Adam Zell. When Margaretha turned 13, her father went bankrupt. Then her parents divorced. From this moment begins the scandalous biography of the future Mata Hari, in which everything is so tangled that it is sometimes difficult to distinguish truth from fiction. Unhealthy interest. The director of the educational institution began to show an unhealthy interest in his young pupil. According to one version, the girl resisted to the persistent suitor. According to another, she provoked him herself. It is unknown what happened there, but the uncle took her niece from the school for governesses. Margaretha was not despondent for long, and she also did not stay long with her strict relative. At 16-year-old, she ran away from guardianship and began an independent adult life. Further, Margaretha found a husband through a marriage advertisement in the newspaper. He was captain of the Dutch army, 39-year-old Rudolf MacLeod, who despite being more than 20 years older seemed to Margaretha a suitable candidate. The black-eyed blossoming beauty could not live indifferent the aging, as it later turned out, libertine. Rudolf received a decent salary. Soon the weaknesses of the Margaretha's husband quickly manifested themselves: cards, drunkenness, and dissolute women. The birth of children, son Norman John, then daughter Jane Louise, did not stop Rudolph's debauchery and riotous life. Son Norman died soon after. The death of her son was the last straw, and Margaretha left her husband for another officer. In retaliation, Rudolph forbade her from seeing her daughter. STRIPTEASE. Margaretha took the creative pseudonym Mata Hari, which translates to Eve of the Day, or Sunlight. After the divorce, left without funds, she was forced to earn a living, first as an artist model and then to take up dancing. Over time, her alluring appearance began to draw attention, and she decided to explore performing as an Oriental dancer. Experts say that she was a rather mediocre dancer, and Hari herself admitted this. Having watched dance performances by Isadora Duncan in semi-transparent clothing, Mata Hari quickly realized what the oversaturated and rather debauched European audience needed. Essentially, Margaretha Mata distorted Eastern dances and turned them into striptease, becoming the world's first stripper, which became the key to her success. Mata Hari stripped naked during her dance, appearing before the audience wearing only jewelry. At that time, such frivolity caused a sensation. Pretty appearance, beautiful figure, and oriental charm ensured her quick success in Paris, and then throughout the rest of Europe. In just a few years, she became the most famous dancer in Europe. Striking appearance, bold to the point of nudity dances, a beautiful legend. What else is needed for success? By 1910, Mata Hari was the highest paid dancer and at the same time the most expensive, to put it mildly, escort girl. The cost of several hours in Hari's company reached 20,000 francs, quite a lot of money for those times. It could seem that all that would give her financial independence, freedom, and a secure old age. However, Hari had her own quirks. She was a gambler, likely influenced by her ex-husband, and ended up losing significant amount of money. Additionally, she had no sense of the value of money and squandered it freely on pricey trivialities and superfluous knickknacks. Of course, she bought expensive outfits, the best jewelry, dined in restaurants, and so on. As a result, large amounts of money flowed in and out, forcing Mata Hari to frequently incur debt. So, the most expensive dancer and courtesan often needed money. A spy. It looks like that was the point where she slipped up. Most likely German intelligence caught her on a dead hook. Or perhaps it was French intelligence from the very beginning. It's hard to figure out now. This happened most likely before the start of the First World War. Being a subject of a neutral country, the Netherlands did not participate in World War I. Hari could freely travel from one warring country to another, starting in Holland, then to Germany, passing through neutral Spain and continuing to France, Switzerland, and Italy. However, at the end of 1914, she was denied entry at the Swiss border for reasons that remain unclear, even though her luggage had already been sent ahead on the train. Mata had to make her way back to Amsterdam through France and Spain, only to find herself in a tough spot, without her dance costumes or much money. Acquaintances introduced her to the German consul Karl Kramer. It is possible that they had known each other before. Diplomat Kramer, concurrently an agent of German intelligence, showed interest in the fate of the famous dancer. However, in return, he asked to fulfill a small request, just to obtain information about the near-term plans of the Entente allies on the Western Front. Given that Mata Hari socialized in elite circles and had close connections with senators, ministers, and generals, the task was deemed to be easy. What kind of info she got there is unknown, but on January 12, 1916, while in Madrid, she met with the German military attaché Major Kali, and it is believed that she passed some information to him. On the same day, the quick-witted mayor sent the cipher to Kramer in Amsterdam. The cipher was intercepted by British intelligence, just like we expected to be in another Hollywood spy thriller. Then Hari traveled several more times between The Hague, Madrid, and Paris, which attached the attention of the French counterintelligence, or maybe it was on their behalf. Then everything was like in a detective story again: love and spies. French military intelligence set a condition to obtain information about the plans of the German command. In short, Mata Hari turned into a double agent, or perhaps she already was one by then. She has probably already gotten herself tangled up in these spy games. Seriously speaking, most likely both intelligence services use Mata only to cover up real agents and divert attention. It only seems that a girl in bed or over a drink can easily find out serious secrets from those who possesses them. More often than not, experts in secrets tell such girls misinformation. Out of all the information gathered by girls in this manner, the special services typically find something useful in at most 1%, or even just 0.5% of the cases. Therefore, if Mata Hari did act as an agent for both German and French intelligence and counterintelligence, it was in a very indirect manner, and she was more likely used primarily to divert the enemy's attention. Arrest and execution. Nevertheless, on the morning of February 13, 1917, Mata Hari was arrested in Paris on charges of espionage. The investigation and interrogations lasted for months. Mata Hari insisted to the very end that she worked only in the interest of France. The trial of the famous spy began on June 21, 1917, and the next day, June 22, it ended with a death sentence for Margaretha Gertrude Zell. The lawyers appealed, and the appeal to the President of France yielded nothing. On October 15, 1917, in the Paris suburb of Vincennes, at a military field, the sentence was carried out. Mata Hari was executed by firing squad. Then a beautiful legend arose that Mata almost directed her own execution. But it is just a legend.